Hi guys and welcome to Sonic Academy. I'm Alex from the Squatters, and what I'm going to do is break everything down over the next couple of hours and show you how to make a Squatters track or something, in our kind of sound, and just break everything down into nice simple chunks so you can learn exactly how we do things, learn some new techniques, and hopefully this will help you, come to building, whatever kind of style music you do. This will help you build and work on your track. Now, for some of you that don't know a lot about production, this might be really good because it'll show you exactly how we do everything from the first beat to the last. And for you guys that know a lot about production, hopefully I'll be teaching you a few new tricks which will just tighten up your productions and just make your tracks a little bit better. So not messing around, we'll get straight into it. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is preparation. So one of the most important things we do is we make a template, which I describe in some other tutorials that I did in the Tech Tips series, and that's to make your own layout for the studio, so that every time you start a project, there's certain things in there that you need that you're going to use every time. And this is the page that I start with. So if you want to know how to make this, check out the Squatters Tech Tips that we did, and there's a tutorial in there that'll show you how to do it. So by starting with this page, you've got everything in there that you use. Like, I've got my pre-mastering chain set up, some of the effects that I use throughout my mixing, and also my buses in which I mix everything down to. Okay, so let's get straight onto it. Now with this, hopefully you've got the Squatters Brain Freeze project, which is a track that we actually made with the guys from Dirty Smart, Mr. Dirty Smart, and they came up with this idea for a t-shirt design, and we came up with the track, and we released sort of like a collaboration project with them. So if you go on our SoundCloud, which is soundcloud.com/the Squatters, you can hear everything else that we've made on there if you've not heard of us, and the finished version of this track's on there as well. So what I've done is I've made this track so it's exactly how we had it. I've just cleaned it up because I'm not exactly the tidiest worker, and it's so you guys can scope it all out for yourselves. And I've left all the plugins and everything that we use in here so that you can, check it out yourself. If you've got the same plugins and everything, you can see exactly what I've done, and you can have a mess around with it. So as you can see, everything's nice and clear and nice and tidy on here. And one of the things I do when I'm making my tracks is I put everything into coloured chunks so that you can see what's what. So here, that's like dark blue. That's my kick drums. You've got the rest of the percussion, which is in a paler blue, white noise effects, etc. Everything's all broken down, so whatever you're doing in your project, you can see just by looking at the colour. You can see what it is, and it's a lot easier to find things. Whereas if you leave everything the same colour, it gets a bit messy when you're working and you lose things in your project and everything. All right, so the first thing that you need to start with when you're working on a new track is sometimes it's great to just jam and come up with an idea, but the idea is the strongest part of the track, and I usually write a melody first. Okay, and then once I've got my melody, which is actually this here. Now if I just loop this and play you it, this is what we wrote first, and then this developed into the whole track. So I'll play what we've got going on. There you go. So just a melody that I played on my keyboard, and I did that in a completely different project and just used some, just a basic lead sing similar to what's on there, and I just saved that as a piece of MIDI and bounced the audio file so that I could listen back to it again. So that's another cool thing you can do, is if you just, if you come up with an idea, or maybe set yourself a goal of doing an idea every day and saving it, and then when it comes to making projects, you've already got ideas there ready to use. Okay, so from that melody, I then built up using different synths and things, and came up with this. I'll explain the synths a little bit later to you, but just to show you the basic idea of how it grew, it turned into this. So once you've got your main idea, that's the most important part of the tune. If the idea is good, then you can start putting, some good drums, some good bass and everything around it, and creating that into your big tune. Now once you've got your idea, you've obviously got to think, what style are you going to go for, what are you going to make. Like we make all sorts of stuff, from like more sort of like party sort of heavy club tracks like this, to like all sorts of like bouncy kind of stuff. And personally, I make all sorts of music. So you've got to decide what road you're going to go down. Okay, so the other way you can start your project, which is another way we start if we just get in the studio together, we've got something to do, and we've not actually got like an idea what we're going to do yet, but there's just a goal at the end of it. Like, I don't know, like if we need to do a track for, a certain label or whatever, all we'll have is a direction of sort of sound in terms of what the label likes, or what the target's to go for. So we'll sometimes start with the drums. So like this one, what we actually did is we listened to a Zed track that we really liked. Zed's a wicked producer from Germany who he started working on underground stuff just like this, and he's now producing pop music, and he's doing stuff with, like, don't really like to say it, but like Justin Bieber and people like that. But fair play to the guy. He's got his sound out there and everyone loves it. So, you never know, it can happen to anyone. So with this, what we did is we started messing around with a few drums, and this is what we came up with. Just starting with a kick drum, bit of percussion, and building it all up there, and it turned out like this. So you can see in there, it's nice simple drums, but everything's really effective. All the sounds are nice and crisp, everything's punchy. And then, as I just let like other bits in, then you could hear how we had some of the other elements teasing in from the original idea that we made. So yeah, so definitely get your idea down first, whether it's from your drums or whether it's from, a melody that you've played on a bit of MIDI, and then you've messed around with it, put it on different channels or whatever. You get a strong idea, and then from there you can start building your track.